You are listening to this video because you want to prepare yourself for the time that you're going to be viral and make sure that you have enough information to make informed decisions, because a lot of people are going to want to get in touch with you and not all of them for the benefit of you. So I'm going to talk about the 4 things that I learned as a result of going viral on TikTok. First thing, repurpose your content. Why am I saying that? Because the video that went viral on TikTok was a video of me showing a Big Mac that I'd had for 8 months and a McPlant that at the time I had for 3 months that had not shown any signs of mold whatsoever. Now, this was the 3rd time that I had posted this content. I first posted it on Instagram and it did well according to what my average was for my page. I then decided that I was going to invest more time on YouTube, and so I posted it on YouTube Shorts. Didn't do well at all. I think I got under 20 views, like up to a week after I posted. And then I decided, I might as well post it on TikTok. Now, TikTok I mainly used to scroll. So I think I had the account for like a year, but maybe posted like 6-7 videos. I hadn't posted much at all. So I just posted it and went about my business. The following day, I came back and that video had flown. I definitely think one of the reasons why the video had gone viral is because of the genocide that is happening in Gaza. And I think because it was McDonald's that I'd mentioned in the video, or was the topic of the video, at the time there was a conversation about McDonald's supporting Israel, and I think they were giving food to Israeli soldiers. So McDonald's was on the mouth of many people, and at the time was trending, and I just coincidentally happened to post on TikTok hashtag McDonald's and talking about a topic that was kind of, would I call it sensational, like food not going off for 8 months. I think it would be like shock factor. So that would have been one of the reasons why I had gone viral, but definitely repurpose content, because if it's not working on platform, maybe it's more suited to another platform. Number 2, in terms of virality, is it virality is the word? My virality, or my viralness, well, I don't even know what the word is, didn't extend as much as one would have expected. Now, the video itself had 1.3 million views. As I speak to you now, it was 1.3 million views. A significant majority of that I got within the first week. I think the first 5 days I got to 1 million, and then 100,000 like the week after, and then I think the remaining 200,000 has been slowly coming in. Now I'm currently on 1.3 million. On TikTok, that basically gave me an extra 2,500 followers on TikTok. And as a result of those extra 2,500 followers, I now got additional functionality on my account. So I got a TikTok shop, and I also was able to link my YouTube and my website. When I linked my YouTube, it was much later in the video's life. And so I managed to get maybe 5 extra subscribers as a result of that. And I managed to maybe get like an extra 5 on Instagram. For those of us who use TikTok, you know, the majority of the time you don't actually go to the, creator's profile unless there is a reason for you to go on the profile. You just literally scroll. And that's basically what essentially is happening. So that 1.3 million, they liked it, they probably favorited it, and then went on to the next video. Those who followed now are following because they want more of the content. And the issue in terms of my case is that I did this experiment out of my own curiosity and wanting to see whether it was real that McDonald's doesn't go off and that this is food that's being advertised to us and our children. I wanted to see for myself. I didn't at this point. I thought because it's such an easy experiment for me to do, I want to see for myself. It is not my typical content as a herbalist who is, wants to show people how they can use plants and to heal and how to understand their bodies a lot more. I guess it's kind of related, but the kind of content I usually do, this was not like that content. And what I found is that the videos that do well on my channel are the ones related to food going off and different types of fast food going off. So if you look at my TikTok, you will find that ones relating to fast food going off are in the tens of thousands. Nothing like the 1.3 million of the first video, but definitely in the tens of thousands. I think at least 20,000 views. All the other videos, the ones directly after I post such videos, do much better but they don't even hit 10,000. And a lot of them don't even hit 1,000. So that virality is for that sensational content, doesn't translate, especially when you're not doing closely related content, doesn't translate to some of the other content. So that's just something that you need to be aware. I think it depends on the channel, but in the case of TikTok, if you are a TikTok user, you know how you use it. Oh, this is interesting, you like it. This is interesting, you like it. So yeah, it's... I have not monetized on any of my platforms, and yeah, so it was great. I loved it. The interaction was good, but it didn't translate beyond that. Now, the third one is extremely interesting, and I think one of the very important ones. When you go viral, I don't know, there are like some news agency watchers that are looking at the most viral content and thinking we can make money from this. I wasn't thinking about money making. I was literally thinking about posting the video and just, you know, getting interaction, getting people to see more about what they do, what I do, and then engage more. Making millions was far over there. And I think that might have been one of the problems when this incident first happened, when the agencies first got in contact, because it literally threw me off guard. So news agencies will get in touch with you because they see a money making opportunity. And to make sure that this is a money-making opportunity for them, they will lock you into some kind of contract. So what will happen is, one, I'll talk about two incidences. One news agency who writes for a lot of major papers around the world contacted me and basically said that they saw my content, always wonderful and amazing, you know how they talk, and they would like to offer me, I'll give them my copyright, and they will give me 30% of whatever money they make. I then went back to them and said, 30%, that means you're keeping 70. Okay, I want 50. They were like, I can't give you 50, but we'll negotiate on 40. So I was like, fine. I wasn't really expecting something, so 40% is okay, let's do this. And then they said, okay, if you're happy for this to go ahead, sign this contract. So I then read it. They had like a couple paragraph introducing the form that I had to fill in, and then a link to what would be the actual contract. So I missed it in the beginning because I thought it was just that paragraph, but I clicked the link and then saw, now we're talking real contract. Now, as I'm fortunate enough to have done law. So what I do know is that a lot can be hidden in a few words. I knew I had to read the contract before signing because they're probably hiding a few stuff there, but it's been a long while since I studied it. And so I shared the link with my friends and I basically let them know what was happening, because they are a bit, I would say there's a lot of wisdom amongst us in the group, and 3 heads is definitely better than 1. So I sent it to the group and asked them if they can have a read, and I kept them abreast of what was happening. So they had a read, we had a lot of questions, and I asked this party the questions. But this was the question that ended the relationship, and I was basically told, forget about it, go elsewhere. So in the contract, they were going to give me 40% of sales, and I was like, great. And then I noticed that on top of that, they're going to charge me 15% of revenue. In my mind, I know there is definitely a difference between sales and revenue, and like revenue is usually more than sales, like if we're comparing percent to percent. So, and then there was a line afterwards that said something along the lines, I'm just getting off memory, said something along the lines that the majority of the time, this is the content creator still gets money or something like that. And in my mind, that meant, so there is a possible chance that the 15% platform fee will basically wipe off anything that the content creator is going to get, meaning they could potentially leave with nothing. So I now went back and I was like, why are you charging me a 15% platform fee? What's this platform fee? What platform fee are you talking about? And why is the 15% revenue, but you're only giving me 40% of sales? The company's response back to me was, this is a question for our accountants and I can't answer it. So you're happy to go elsewhere. In my mind, I'm like, you are a representative of the company. So if I'm going to ask any information about the company, you want to sign over me to sign over my rights to you, and you can't even answer that question. They basically knew that there was nothing that they can't answer that question, because they knew that I'll end up with nothing and they'll keep everything. And how are you gonna tell me that in a polite way for me to sign up? So that ended, but they came back, and I'll tell you what happened when they came back. So then another company got in touch. This time they offered me 50%. Again, they'll take my copyright, do whatever they want with the content. take it wherever they want to take it, edit it however they want to edit it. One of the questions I even asked was, can I see the news story before it goes out? Because I was very conscious that I didn't want them to put words in my mouth and do foolishness with it. And they said, no, I can't see it. I was like, oh, okay. But then they'll send you that line, oh, but we won't be this and that, make it sound like they're trying to protect you, but we all know. Then again, I showed my friends the contract for them to have a read through, because 3 heads are better than 1. And I do advise that if you ever find yourself in that situation, try and get other people to read the contract, because they will see things that you've probably missed. This is what ended the conversation. So one of the lines in the contract was, if they could do whatever they want with my content, write whatever they want with my content, if any liability arises, I am 100% responsible to pay. And I was like, what? So you literally can put me in any kind of paper that can say the worst thing about the company in question. And if they come after you, you're going to basically send them to me to pay. I was like, nah. So I went back to them and I said, okay, I'm okay with the rest of it, but we need to change this line to, I'm happy to accept responsibility, liability, but where it's as a result of something that you've done, you accept liability. They said no, and then ended up with a line, but this rarely happens, so there's nothing that you need to worry about. Well, the risk is definitely high enough for you to say no to not changing it over. So they basically refused to accept any liability as a result of their actions, and that ended. So that just gives you an idea of what can be hidden in the contract. Now, I mentioned to you the first group that came in contact with me. So I don't think the staff were talking to each other. So the news agency came back to me again. This time they were asking me a series of questions and basically said, could you answer these questions for us, because you have an amazing story and we want to write a number of articles for you. No mention of payment or nothing. And I was like, okay. Now me, at this point, I think it'd been like a few days and I'd really getting tired with what I felt was a little bit like a bombardment. And I'm an individual that doesn't this wasn't on my mind. And I had loads of things going on at that time, that to be now reading these contracts of, basically, I felt like I was in the water with sharks, and it was slightly overwhelming. So when this group came back and said they just want the article to write, and there'll be no money or anything like that, just they want me to answer these questions, and it was questions like, how old are you? Why did you do this experiment? All that kind of stuff. So I was even preparing to answer the articles. Again, I was keeping my friends abreast about what was going on, and they basically said to me, they're asking you to do work. If these big companies are asking you to do work, surely they should pay you for that work. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I now went back to them. I said, look, you're asking me to do quite, a lot of work and answer these questions. Like, are you going to give me a little something? And as soon as I said to them, can you give me a little something? The response back was, we don't usually, but if you are asking for money, we're happy to give you 50%. Bearing in mind, this is the first company who then said they can't give me 50%, and we ended up negotiating 40%. But if we are going to do money, you have to sign this contract. And here comes this big contract that basically says they can take everything of mine. In future, if anyone wants to have a conversation with me about anything, they have to go through them. It is no longer mine. I can keep everything currently as its platform, but I can't do anything with it again after that. And I was like, you know what, I've had enough. And I basically told them, you know what, take your article, I'm not interested. Take your questions, I'm not interested, and I'm not responding. So when you go viral, one of the things that you should be very aware of is that you are going to have news agencies approach you, or news, like the middleman approach you, because they see an opportunity to make money. They see an opportunity to create a story, but they don't want to pay you for what you're worth. They're looking out for themselves as a company, not for you as an individual. They are happy for you to get hardly anything by talking the difference between sales and revenue. They're happy for you to have all the liability should anything go wrong and nothing goes to them. And they're happy to take your content that forever and a day. And these contracts, they didn't want to do it for like 3 months. They wanted to do it for forever and a day. So you will never be able to use your content anyhow you want in future. These were like perpetual contracts. So be very aware that this could possibly happen. Have your friends read it and be prepared for that happening, especially when you go viral. Last but not least, number 4, news outlets will see this going viral, people talking about it, realize it's a story, will then write an article for their news agency or their news company and not say a single thing to you. So I found out by accident that this, a number of news agencies, including a very popular national one, had written an article based on the TikTok video and hadn't had a conversation with me, which is why they say my name is Tsofanye, and I don't mind being called Tsofanye because it means herbal medicine mother, basically, in my language. I've kind of remixed the traditional term for herbalist, and not Nigelic because they didn't ask me, so I didn't know. I now went back to these news agencies. One of the national one basically come back and said, we will compensate you. I'm waiting for that now. The others that I contacted, because I didn't contact all of them. One of them, I contacted them on their social platforms, and a couple of my friends, thank God, they also did. I have been completely aired. They have not responded to me. And I know they see the message. It was a comment right underneath the story as well. And a number of others came back and basically said that as it was on TikTok, a public social media platform, they can do what they want with my content. They can repurpose it. They can do whatever they want. And one of them kindly sent me section 4.9 of the TikTok contracts, which is what you sign up to. And I will put a screenshot of what it says. That basically gives them the permission to do what they want with the content. Now, why this is very important is because when you post content on certain platforms, do be aware of what that means for you and whatever your future business will be. Because what other news outlets will now write about you, you might not have as much control over it as you can. I might be wrong in this, but basically reading section 4.9, reading that section and then section 4.9, I felt like, yeah, I can see why they will get that. TikTok has been very clear that part of joining the platform and sharing your content is to allow people to be able to repurpose it and do what they are currently doing. And people are doing that. As long as they link back and are not taking the whole video and putting it on their platform, they're allowed to do whatever they want to do. So do bear that in mind with the content, especially because, so now I'm very conscious in terms of what I post on TikTok compared to what I might post on YouTube and what I might post on Instagram. To be honest, I have to read those, copyright elements of it as well. So those are the 4 things that I've learned. I hope that you have picked something from it. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. If you want to know about maybe some of the prices that people are paying for news articles, I know that Daily Mail got in touch and they were saying it's like £50 per video. Is that the same for when you were offered? And what the going rate is for you? Just, let's just have a conversation about it, because I feel like some of these companies are able to do what they're doing because people don't know how they operate. So I'm hoping that this video kind of opens the box so that if this happens to you and you get approached with this long contract, you know that you have to read it and what you're looking for. You can negotiate your percentages and things like that. So again, I hope you've enjoyed. Any questions or any comments or any pieces of advice, if you're a lawyer or anything like that, please post them in the comments. Thank you so much. And subscribe if you want to learn more about my herbal medicine side of things.